Hello, and welcome to the data analysis portion of my dissertation proposal, Collegiate Athletic Trainers' Knowledge, Confidence, and Practice Standards Regarding the Female and Male Athlete Triad. My name is Kim Schwabenbauer, and this is part of my course DHS 899. I am a doctoral candidate in the Health Sciences program for the fall of 2020 at California University of Pennsylvania. Research problem and purpose. The research problem is that collegiate student athletes, especially those in lean sports, are at a higher risk of disordered eating and eating disorders, as well as low energy availability. Low energy availability can lead to the female and male athlete triad, called in this presentation the athlete triad. Reasons for this risk include underreporting by athletes, inadequate education of the multidisciplinary team on the athlete triad, and a lack of consistency among screening tools for the athlete triad. All of these items can place collegiate student athletes at a higher risk for experiencing acute and long-term health consequences. Athletic training staff can be instrumental in identifying the initial red flags such as excessive exercise, abnormal eating patterns, or bone stress injuries. The purpose of this mixed methods action research study will be to determine the knowledge, confidence, and screening practices regarding the athlete triad of athletic trainers at the Division I, II, and III university level, while exploring an independent electronic training module that may be used for future educational efforts and practice advancements regarding the triad. There will be 4 different research questions addressed by this study. 2 are quantitative and 2 are responsive action research. The first quantitative question, what is the difference among Division I, II, and III university athletic trainers' knowledge, confidence, and screening practices for the athlete triad? The second quantitative question is what are the differences in athletic trainers' knowledge, confidence, and screening practices due to the educational module, which is also the intervention regarding the athlete triad. The 2 responsive action research questions are, can an electronic educational training module facilitate awareness and interest in screening and treatment procedures for the athlete triad within each athletic trainer's university setting? And also, can an electronic educational training module facilitate a responsive action plan which is intended to improve screening practices for the athlete triad among the athletic trainers within all university levels, so within Division I, II, and III university levels. The research design involves a parallel convergent mixed methods with both a quantitative and a responsive action research arm that are conducted simultaneously. The participants will be recruited through the National Athletic Trainers Association, or NATA, via their email list that is provided for research purposes. The collection medium is called Qualtrics, which is a simple web-based survey tool that is used to conduct survey research, evaluations, and other data collection activities. This data is digital and will be stored in a way in which the servers are protected and all anonymity is retained. The goal of this study is to include a large sample size of equal to or greater than 300 athletic trainers and at least or hopefully 40% or greater of completion through at least the first set of quantitative survey pretest data collection periods. Some of the strengths of this type of research design include flexibility and the ease of participation for respondents, and the ability to collect large amounts of data in a relatively quick format. This type of survey is very convenient in that it's administered via email. It has a low administration cost. It also has an ease of data entry and data analysis being collected through Qualtrics, a reduced bias and increased, hopefully, completion rate through both portions of the design, the quantitative and the responsive action research. The responsive action has the ability to inform current practice decisions. There's also question diversity available among Qualtrics and the ability to design these types of questions to meet the researcher's needs. And it's a very feasible study because in this current environment of COVID-19, many research projects are now being conducted online, where comprehensive data can be gathered electronically and in a very economical fashion and anonymously collected within a reasonable time frame. Some of the weaknesses of this research design include that the email sender may not be recognized by the participant and may be regarded as junk mail. In addition, it may be automatically filtered to spam or some other mailbox where the participant never sees the survey. Other weaknesses include the large variety of technology that is being used at this time. Certain participants may try to do this survey on their phone, while others may use a laptop or other device, so that cannot be standardized. In addition, sometimes surveys are seen as impersonal. There are privacy and security issues that must be managed the entire way through to make sure that the data is protected and anonymous for all users in compliance with IRB procedures. And finally, many of us are experiencing technology fatigue. We sit in front of a computer instead of interacting with people all day long now, so they may not want to take extra time to complete a survey, an educational module, and then a post-survey as well. Data and data collection will take place in the following manner. First, a pre-test survey will be administered, and this will collect demographic information such as gender, division, district, years as a certified athletic trainer, current assigned sports, and the level of education of the athletic trainer. These either directly relate to my research questions, such as the Division 1, 2, or 3 question, or these will serve to inform my additional findings portion of the research. In addition, it will demonstrate the sample is diverse and able to be generalized to a larger population. In total, 7 questions will relate to demographic information. The rest of the survey is comprised of 18 total knowledge questions, 17 questions regarding screening practices, and 6 questions on confidence in each athletic trainer's ability to recognize and properly treat the athlete triad. In total, there are 48 questions as part of the pre-test survey. The educational module will be provided as a link at the end of the pre-test survey, and it will provide background information including the definition of the athlete triad in its current state and how it's been updated to include energy availability versus disordered eating and eating disorders, which was in the original definition. It will also discuss the spectrum of disorders from health to disease and discuss how this definition was updated in 2018 to include the male population. It will also talk about best practices regarding screening and referral, and as always, we use evidence-based information on the triad. The post-test survey will ask the same questions as the pre-test survey regarding knowledge and confidence. It will have 24 questions in total on these 2 areas. It will also ask 3 responsive action questions to capture the athletic trainer's plans moving forward. The goal will be to provide a basis for updating the athletic trainer's current application of this module information and to provide overall confidence in the prevention and treatment of the athlete triad. This early identification and proper treatment of the triad is important to avoid lasting harm through worsened symptoms and other health-related or performance-related impairments. The quantitative portion of data and data collection will involve a self-report survey, which includes multiple choice questions to assess knowledge, categorical questions to assess practice standards, and a 4-point Likert scale to measure the confidence of answers for both head and assistant athletic trainers. The questions were adopted with permission from Crocius et al. 2018, who developed a quantitative survey in May of 2014 to assess knowledge of collegiate athletic trainers about the triad and RED-S and examine variability in related screening and referral behaviors among the National Collegiate Athletic Association divisions. The questions were also adopted with permission from Palonsi Patel et al. 2020, who administered an in-person educational training session and then assessed differences in pre- and post-test knowledge, confidence, and screening practices. Questions were also developed by the researcher on institutional pre-participation screening procedures. There will also be a survey. The survey will be pilot tested with 5 to 7 athletic trainers for general question understanding. And finally, reliability tests will also be conducted in a similar sample, this time with 15 to 17 athletic trainers. The time required for this first pre-module survey is 10 to 15 minutes from the start of the survey to completion. After participants complete the pre-test survey on knowledge, confidence, and practices, they will be able to click a link to access the responsive action research educational module or the intervention. Then they will be directed to the intervention, which will be to provide background, updated evidence-based information on the triad and RED-S, including the current definition, and then the best practices regarding screening and referral for proper treatment of the triad. The time required for this intervention is 15 to 20 minutes from the start of the module to completion. Here is an example of some of the slides that will be included in the educational module. This interactive scenario-based module was designed by the researcher, and the goal in completing this module is to be an intervention to bridge the gap between the lack of knowledge and inconsistencies within the screening and treatment process for the athlete triad at all university levels. The responsive action research educational module or intervention will culminate with 3 open-ended questions that are going to be provided at the end of the post-test survey, and these will address the athletic trainer's potential plans of action moving forward. The first will be, did your participation in this research change or reinforce your knowledge and or awareness of the current status of the athlete triad? If so, how? If not, what did you gain from this research? The second question is, in reviewing the considerations for an action plan addressed in the training module, if you are considering an action plan, please list the steps that you would take. If you are not interested in continuing with an action plan to increase awareness and current practice involving the triad, please explain why. The third question would be, please identify those who would benefit from viewing the educational module on the athlete triad at your institution. And this could include people like athletes, team coaches, strength and conditioning staff, or other supporting staff such as exercise physiologists. Participants are able to exit the research at any time. That means at the end of the pre-survey, at the end of the educational module, and then again, even before answering the final responsive action questions. Quantitative data analysis will begin by checking response rates, response bias, descriptive analysis of all variables, and answering the associated descriptive questions. This is important because any aspect of an experimental condition may potentially bias a respondent, including the phrasing of questions, the way the experiment is conducted, or the desires of the participant to be a good participant and to provide socially desirable responses. Descriptive statistics may help summarize the relationships between variables by graphically displaying the information or describing its central tendencies. Descriptive analysis will also be used to identify the means, standard deviation, percentages, and frequencies. Non-parametric statistical analysis will be performed on categorical or nominal variables. This is due to the data being not normally distributed or having heterogeneous variance. Inferential analysis can be used for any interval and ratio data due to there being a higher level of measurement. Due to knowing the exact order and differences between values for interval data, central tendency can be measured by mode, median, or mean, and the standard deviation can be calculated. For any ratio data, the known entities are order, the exact value between units, and the data also has an absolute zero. Therefore, we will have the ability to measure central tendency by mode, median, or mean, and standard deviation and coefficient of variation can also be calculated. The one-sample Kolmogorov-Smirnov test is a non-parametric test that compares the cumulative distributions of 2 data sets that can determine if a sample comes from a specific distribution. The dependent samples t-test will be used to determine whether mean difference between two groups is statistically significant, and ANOVA will be used due to having three groups, divisions 1, 2, and 3. Both will aid in determining if there are significant differences among participants' knowledge of the triad and differences among division 1, 2, and 3 university PPE inclusion. If there is non-normal distribution, a chi-squared analysis will be performed. The chi-square analysis can statistically compare the discrepancies between the expected results and the actual results, given the sample size and the number of variables in the relationship. Ordinal and Likert scale data will be analyzed by the Kruskal-Wallis non-parametric test. This test is appropriate if you have one nominal, ordinal, and one ranked variable, such as a Likert scale. This test also allows us to see if the mean ranks are the same in all groups. Finally, Levene's statistic is an inferential statistic that will check the variances and see if they are equal for all samples for any data that comes from non-normal distribution. Significance will be set at p is less than or equal to 0.05. The final data analysis of the responsive action research portion of the study will include the analysis of the 3-question responses. In addition, there will be critical reflection throughout the process, and the dissemination of the feedback gained through this study, including the athletics trainer's completion of the educational module, will be done via presentations at national conferences and professional publications. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing your questions.